let's talk about Bitcoin, crypto. So going back to Davos, Jamie Dimon, CEO of Chase, JP Morgan Chase, he said, once again, that crypto, a waste of time. Blockchain technology is something that's beneficial and here to stay, but he gave a lot of disparaging remarks about Bitcoin and crypto and talked about how it was
for money launderers and
basically. Yeah. Typical slander. So what's your thoughts on his comments?
I don't know what Jamie's angle is with this. I know a lot of people say, well, he's worried about it taking over the banking infrastructure. If that happens, by the time that happens, Jamie's going to be retired. But if we know that your traders have been buying it since 2016, I don't know what's the point of demonizing the asset if you're going to eventually offer it to your client base. You can't argue with the returns year over year, decade over decade, highest return on asset. I just don't understand what the angle or aim is, because it's not going to take away from the fervor that people who have been invested in Bitcoin. It's not going to change their stance. And also with the ETFs coming in, I'm not sure why he would demonize this asset class. So I don't like the remarks. Kudos to JP Morgan, everyone there. I appreciate you guys in the partnership, but I don't know why he continues on this parade about it being like this nefarious asset when that boat.
Who paid for the boat?
Yeah, who paid for the boat? Like, what?
But there's a common theme here, right? If we talk about the greatest investors of our time, even rest in peace, Charlie Munger. I mean, to his death, he has similar remarks. Look at Buffett, who probably arguably the greatest of our time. Now you hear Jamie Dimon when we talk about banking and finance. I mean, at the top of the list, they all have the same kind of stance on Bitcoin. So as a person that's listening, I mean, how should they take that, right? These are some of the greatest minds in the space.
You still need exposure to it. And this is something I've been saying forever. Like, pick the top two in the sector, ride them for the long period of time. Now, some of the altcoins, depending on which ones you're looking at, you may not want to invest in, but once it gets to a place, and it's the interesting part, well, of course they have the partnership with Ethereum, so that may be a part of the reason why he's demonizing it, because Bitcoin has outpaced Ethereum for sure. But I don't see why, if you're looking purely at the numbers over a decade return basis, you can't say that there's no use case for it and there's no desire for it. But if you're listening now, call 20,000. That was a good place to invest when I called it. But hold every asset for a 10-year period of time and you'll be a-okay. Please put it in chat. Investing is not hard. When to start, what to invest in, all that's been answered. They have to go to the Alps and bring the information back. If it takes all that for you to invest, just don't do it. Just don't do it. It is what it is. You either can choose to get rich in this environment or stay broke. It is up to you. But I don't like just the full demonization of an asset class just because you personally may not like it. You can't argue with the math.
Well, I also think that they're not wrong in what they're saying, to play devil's advocate, as far as there's a reason why Warren Buffett and these guys don't see any value in Bitcoin, because there really is no real value in it, right? So if you look at it from a standpoint of currency, it's very misleading. It's not.
Oh my God. Okay, go ahead.
It's not a currency. It's not being used as a currency. It's way too volatile to ever really be used as a currency, and nobody really uses Bitcoin as a currency. They use it. It's more of a store value. That's why they call it. That's why they call it digital gold. People are looking at it as an investment standpoint. So they're looking at it. They're old school. They're looking at it like, well, what is the point of something that nobody's really trading this as currency? Well, they're looking at it as it's just a made up investment. I think that's there are tangible investments, right? Like there are tangible gold, there's tangible real estate. Even stock is actually like you're owning a part of a company that actually exists. Yeah. Bitcoin doesn't produce any products, doesn't have any employees. If it went away today, it wouldn't have any major effect on the global economy outside of people losing billions of dollars, but it's not like it's no. So from that,
I think the greatest use case is offset to inflation, not to cut you off.
Yeah, but I think that's part of what Dimon is saying. There are people who are using it as currency, and it might not be for the best cause.
but for the vast majority of people, there are people use it for currency and stuff like that. But I'm just saying the vast majority is not, just like the vast majority is not trading gold. Like you're not going to your local barbershop and paying him
with bullion
of gold. You know, most people have gold and it's being hoarded. So you know, it's Bitcoin. That's how they're looking at it. They're like, well, what is the purpose of this, right? Like, why do we need Bitcoin? Why do we need it? But I will say this: some things are outside the realm of ration. You don't have to be able to fully understand everything with a rational mind for it to actually make sense. It's just enough people have to believe in it. So I think that enough people believe in the idea of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically. It's, you know, what it was supposed to originally have stood for. And I think that would be enough for it to sustain. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. I think it's going to be here. But I think that, you know, from a pure economic standpoint, the economist, old school economist, they're never really going to fully understand it, because they're looking at it like, well, this doesn't, there's no way how you can make me believe that this is worth $40,000 one day, $60,000 the next day, $10,000 the next year, $1 million in 10 years. Like,
but couldn't people have said that about, I can't believe I'm taking this out of this argument, but couldn't you have said the same thing about the tech market in 99 or 2000? If we look from 95 to 2005, the market was damn near flat.
Yeah, for sure. It's overvalued.
Also, the value of the dollar has dropped 90% if you don't believe in fiat currency. And truth be told, cryptocurrency is the revelation of how people feel about the American fiat system and the banking system in one. For years, for 50 years, they told us 7 to 12% maximum was the most that you can get out of an investment to be deemed safe. When there's people in the streets and bodegas who are making way more than that, and here comes a currency or an asset class that produces more, and all of a sudden it's vilified. Why didn't you give us the 15 to 30% that you guys were getting and muni bonds and other shit that you were investing in? So I think people are getting frustrated and tired of saying, well, you're telling us we can only get 5% savings here. Pensions have gone. Retirement plans are going away. I keep talking about this pension fund issue in Chicago and Illinois that no one ever wants to talk about. I think people are getting frustrated as inflation is doubling. It feels like every 4 or 5 years to tell us, well, you can only get 7% return in the market with all this trillions of dollars slushing around. But Nancy and her husband are raking in a fortune in the interim and sole presidents. So I think it's more of a anti-banking, anti-fiat position to say, hey, we want higher returns because we know they're possible here. But
well, I think that so the tech thing I think is a little different, because those are companies that might have been overvalued, but they still had value, right? Like they still are employing people, they're still making products, they're still adding to society. Now you could say, okay, they're not worth. You could say Nvidia is overvalued. You can make an argument for that, but there's no denying that Nvidia is still a valuable company that is tremendously important in the global ecosystem. That's why I think there's a disconnect as far as with a lot of these cryptocurrencies, where they're not important. The blockchain technology is important. That's what he was saying. Jamie was saying, like, they've been using blockchain technology for years and they're going to continue to use it. But the actual, like, I always say this all the time: if Bitcoin went away today, nothing changes in the world. Outside of people losing money, nothing changes. If Apple disappeared today, the world is upside down. How many people rely, including me, on we're using a MacBook right now to broadcast this, and I'm reading notes off my iPhone, right? If Nvidia disappeared today, the world's in crisis mode, right? There are a lot of companies that if they disappeared today, not only would millions of people be out of jobs, the world,
if Apple went away, America collapse.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Bitcoin, and by the way, I believe in Bitcoin, but I'm also a non-partisan person, so I can see both sides of the situation, and I think that a lot of it is just mental. But once again, we live in a world where you convince yourself of things, and that's all you really
Gotta
need.
believe.
You got to if you believe enough. Look, I mean, religion. It's all based on. No, I'm just saying it's all based on belief. It's all based on belief, right?
Okay.
It's all based on belief. Nobody's ever seen anything from 2,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago, but billions of people put a belief into a system, and that's what faith is, right? Believing in things that you don't fully understand or things that you can't see, right?
Yeah.
That's the most core thing to the human element that we have. And like I said, I mean, religion is a perfect example of that. Of a lot of things don't make sense if you really think about it, right? If you look at religious tales, I mean, no, they don't really make too much sense in a rational mind, but we overlook that because we have a belief system. So it doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah.
So I think Bitcoin kind of fits in that world. Don't worry, I'm not going on a religious tangent. I'm just using religion. I'm just using religion as an example.
Satoshi's coming for him.
I mean, but if we go back to the .com bubble, let's run off some companies that were there. Pets.com, Webvan, Boo.com, eToys.com got destroyed by Amazon. GeoCities, TheGlobe.com, Go.com, Flues.com, Dr. Cool. Excite.com. Worth more than all those by 50.
Bitcoin is the number 9 most valuable asset on the planet. We went over this. That's crazy. Yep. That's on belief.
Also because the other assets were not providing a high enough return. While legislation was passed to block us out of investing in startups that would have given us that kind of return.
I agree with that part of the statement. And I think you made that statement earlier when you said they can say what they want, but they cannot deny the returns. We've seen now for 14 years.
Yep.
This is a very small sample size, right? In terms of history of investing, but 14 years is a sample size of return. And there hasn't been an asset that we've seen that have had these type of returns that I've known of.
It goes back to the lack of innovation in America and the United States, especially like on the financial services and product side. For sure. You either can be of the people and innovate for the people, or you can be of the system. You got to pick.
Yeah.
So
and now, obviously with the ETF, the SEC has started to lean favorably in the space. We had some conversations with the USD coin. And so, I mean, everything is optimistic in the space. And so that belief becomes more authenticated when you have government saying, okay, we believe in it too.